And this is part two to that, or a continuation to disclosure. People tend to believe more in UFOs and alien life and being deposited here than Camp Ipperwash or Stoney Point. They said, we don't know who's who. That's why I started this series off with, we all look the same on a piece of paper. The problem is the government gave us identity, and that's come back to haunt them. I went looking and I found out our identity. Back here, I'll show this document that when we led the demonstration back in 1985 at the council chambers of Kettle Point, we had a lot of people supporting. We went searching for people. This is my mother, my sister, and myself. And we went and tacked no trespassing at Gren Bend and Pioneer Park and different places. We built a church because my mother said, we're not a community without a church. And a man helped us. His name was Victor George. He was a counselor. He was also a chief down Kettle Point. So there are good people all over, even from people who oppose what we do. They wanted to do something good. But at the time, Vic was on council and he signed a document, outlining the conditions of that agreement. But, like, he did it for his own reasons. This here, again, shows you. And when the media got a hold of the documentation, they said, George claims Bend is throne. I use the word king for two reasons. I have a king. His name is Jesus. I'm a little king in my own right. And I said, I'm going to establish my throne here in Gren Bend, in an administration. They said, why are you calling yourself a king? I said, because when we broke free from Canada, we are a sovereign people. And at the same time, not sovereign. I have to be careful with the terminology I use. Canada violated agreements, plain and simple. And they had people to work with them to make those agreements work. That's how they took the land. That's how they ended up not paying my mother, not allowing people to see the documents that were available. If you go back here and show you that it outlines in this proposal. It says, after several years, your band council have been able to negotiate a proposal with defense concerning Camp Ipperwash. And it says the proposal will be explained in detail at an information meeting. That never happened. It says all of Camp Ipperwash is included, and not just that part taken from us in 42. Okay, well, where's the maps? Where's the explanation? And they said 2 million, well, 2.5. And it goes on to identify these things. Nothing like that occurred. So what's said is history. That's history now. It's no longer today. And the people I've talked about is history. They've gone on, they passed away, leaving wills and so forth. And it's not to be angry with them. It's understanding where they come from. They had lawyers. Lawyers talked for them. And the lawyers came together and said, this is how we deal with it. The government said, we're not prepared to go that far, we'll do it this way and block funding. So, leaving out people from Stoney Point. We never had access to our material. We had to go looking. We didn't just take Camp Ipperwash away from the military. Military too strong, they could have killed us. Or threw us in jail. But when we had the paperwork, we showed the material and told them, get off our property. They obeyed the law, plain and simple. And this is what people have to do, or should do, instead of putting up blockades and so forth. It gets attention, but it doesn't get the job done. And what I wanted to get to is the faith. God does answer prayer. There's many things that I haven't touched on. Good people who opposed my political activities, but supported the idea that the land was taken illegally. And they couldn't do nothing. It's like Ralph Ferguson back here. He was one man in the House of Commons representing Lambton, Middlesex. And he did stand up and say something, but it was quickly shut down. The Privy Council of Canada is the ministers' gathering, and they tell the Prime Minister what to do. Oftentimes the Prime Minister will tell the Cabinet, we need this or that, and the Cabinet will take a vote on it. So the politics behind it is rather lengthy at times, and I don't always agree with it. But at the same token, we wanted to prove a point. There are children who are innocent, Kettle and Stoney. My children, my wife, our late wife, I wouldn't say her name right now, but we had children. We had John, we had Marcia, and we had Lance. I got involved in a relationship and I had another child outside of marriage. So I couldn't preach, I couldn't pray, couldn't do nothing. So I became stagnant